Your vet knows your pet's food is making them sick, but they're not telling you. That prescription diet they recommended, the premium brand they sell in their clinic, even the treat they give your dog after appointments, they all contain ingredients that are slowly destroying your pet's health. And your vet either doesn't know, doesn't care, or can't say anything because of financial ties to pet food companies. I've spent months investigating the pet food industry, talking to whistleblowers, reviewing studies that never made it to mainstream veterinary journals, and what I discovered will fundamentally change how you feed your animals. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to reveal the pet foods that vets won't warn you about, the ones hiding behind science and prescription labels, and the real reasons your vet stays silent. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly what's happening and what you need to do about it. Let's start with something most pet owners don't know. Veterinary. Schools in the United States receive significant funding from pet food companies. Hill's Pet Nutrition, which makes Science Diet, donates millions of dollars to veterinary colleges. They fund research, provide free food for teaching hospitals, and sponsor continuing education courses that vets are required to take to maintain their licenses. This creates a system where vets are trained from day one to recommend specific brands, not because those brands are the best, but because those brands paid for the curriculum. When your vet recommends Science Diet or Royal Canin, they're often repeating what they were taught by representatives from those very companies. It's not independent medical advice, it's corporate-influenced education. Hill's Science Diet is one of the most commonly recommended foods by veterinarians, particularly the prescription lines for conditions like kidney disease, urinary issues, and weight management. The packaging looks medical. The marketing emphasizes clinical research. Vets sell it directly from their clinics, which adds an air of authority. But look at the actual ingredients. Hill's prescription. Diet CD for urinary health lists chicken byproduct meal, corn gluten meal, and brewer's rice as the first three ingredients. Chicken byproduct meal is not chicken. It's rendered parts, heads, feet, intestines, feathers. These are low-quality proteins that are difficult to digest and provide minimal nutritional value. Corn gluten meal is a cheap plant-based protein used to artificially inflate the protein percentage on the label. Brewer's rice is a waste product from rice milling. It's broken rice fragments, rejected for human consumption and sold to pet food manufacturers. Here's what your vet isn't telling you. These prescription diets are formulated to manage symptoms, not address root causes. A dog with urinary crystals is often dealing with chronic inflammation caused by poor quality food. The prescription diet manipulates pH levels and restricts certain minerals, which can dissolve existing crystals. But it doesn't fix the underlying problem, which is that the dog's body is reacting to low-quality ingredients, artificial additives, and a diet that's completely inappropriate for a carnivore. Many dogs on Hill's prescription diets show temporary improvement, then develop new health issues: skin problems, digestive upset, weight gain, lethargy. These are signs that the food is creating new problems while masking the original one. Hill's also uses artificial preservatives like mixed tocopherols, which sounds natural but is often synthetic. They use food dyes in some formulas, even though pets don't care about color. And they charge premium prices, often 2 to 3 times the cost of regular dog food, for ingredients that are lower quality than many mid-tier brands. Your vet profits from this. Most veterinary clinics mark up prescription food by 30 to 50%. When they sell you a bag of Hill's, they're making money. This creates a financial conflict of interest that's rarely discussed. Your vet has a monetary incentive to keep your pet on prescription food, even if better options exist. Royal Canin is another brand heavily promoted by veterinarians, and it follows the exact same playbook as Hill's. Royal Canin is owned by Mars Pet Care, one of the largest pet food conglomerates in the world. They also fund veterinary education, sponsor research, and maintain close relationships with veterinary schools and professional organizations. When your vet recommends Royal Canin, they're often doing so because that's what they were trained to recommend, not because they've independently evaluated the food's quality. Royal Canin's ingredient lists are shockingly poor for a brand marketed as premium. Their breed-specific formulas, which claim to be tailored to the unique needs of different dog breeds, are largely marketing gimmicks. The differences between formulas are minimal, usually just slight. Variations in kibble size and shape. Take Royal Canin's German Shepherd formula. The first ingredient is brewer's rice, followed by chicken byproduct meal, then brown rice, oat groats, and chicken fat. Notice that real meat doesn't appear until the sixth ingredient, and even then it's chicken fat, not actual chicken. This is a grain-heavy, byproduct-laden formula being sold at premium prices because it has a specific breed name on the bag. German Shepherds are large, active dogs that need high-quality animal protein. They're not designed to eat rice and oats as their primary nutrition. Yet vets recommend this food constantly, often claiming it's scientifically formulated for the breed. It's not. It's formulated for profit margins. Royal Canin also has a prescription line, and like Hill's, these foods are designed to manage symptoms rather than promote true health. The ingredients are often worse than the regular formulas, with even higher levels of byproducts, grains, and artificial additives. But because the food is marketed as veterinary medicine, pet owners trust it implicitly. They don't question the ingredients because their vet prescribed it. This is exactly what the company is counting on. Royal Canin has also been involved in multiple recalls over the years due to contamination issues, including mold, excessive vitamin D, and foreign objects in the food. These quality control failures reveal a manufacturing process focused on volume and cost reduction rather than safety and nutrition. Purina Pro Plan is another vet-recommended brand that deserves serious scrutiny. Purina is owned by Nestlé, a company with a long history of prioritizing profit over health in both human and animal nutrition. Pro Plan is marketed as a premium, science-backed option, and many vets recommend it because Purina sponsors veterinary conferences and provides free samples to clinics. But the ingredient quality doesn't match the premium pricing. Most Pro Plan formulas list chicken or beef as the first ingredient, which looks good at first glance. But the second and third ingredients are often corn gluten meal and whole grain corn. When you combine these two corn ingredients, corn becomes the primary component of the food by weight, not meat. Pro Plan also uses poultry byproduct meal, animal fat, and fish meal without specifying the sources. Animal fat means fat from unidentified animals. It could be chicken, beef, pork, or even rendered zoo animals and roadkill. The lack of specificity is a red flag. Reputable brands clearly identify their ingredients. Pro Plan hides behind vague terms because they're using whatever is cheapest at any given time. Purina also has a disturbing track record when it comes to safety. In recent years, thousands of pet owners have reported that their dogs and cats became ill after eating Pro Plan. Symptoms included vomiting, diarrhea, lethargy, seizures, and in some cases, death. While Purina has denied any connection and hasn't issued recalls, the sheer volume of reports is alarming. Many veterinarians continue to recommend Pro Plan despite these reports because they trust the Purina name and the company's marketing. They attend conferences where Purina scientists present research showing the benefits of Pro Plan. What they don't see is the research that doesn't get published, studies that show negative outcomes, quality control issues, or ingredient problems. Those never make it to veterinary journals or conference presentations. This selective publication creates a skewed perception where vets only see the positive data and remain ignorant of the problems. If you're finding this valuable, hit that subscribe button. What I'm about to reveal next will completely change how you look at veterinary nutrition advice. Let's talk about something vets will almost never mention: the concept of species-appropriate nutrition. Dogs and cats are carnivores. Their digestive systems are designed to process meat, not grains, vegetables, or plant-based fillers. Yet the vast majority of commercial pet foods, including those recommended by vets, are heavily grain-based. Why? Because grains are cheap. Corn, wheat, rice, and soy cost a fraction of what quality meat costs. By using grains as the base of pet food, companies maximize profit margins while still being able to claim adequate protein levels on the label. But protein from corn is not the same as protein from chicken. Your dog's body processes them completely differently. When dogs eat grain-heavy diets, they often develop chronic inflammation. This shows up as skin issues, ear infections, digestive problems, and joint pain. Vets treat these symptoms with medications: antibiotics for infections, steroids for inflammation, pain relievers for arthritis. They rarely ask whether the food might be causing the problem in the first place. Why? Because they weren't trained to think that way. Veterinary nutrition education is dominated by the same companies making the problematic food. It's a closed loop where the problem and the solution both generate profit, and questioning the food itself threatens that system. IAMS and Eukanuba are two more brands commonly found in veterinary clinics, and both are owned by Mars Pet Care. These brands market themselves as premium options backed by research, and many vets recommend them for specific health conditions. But the ingredient lists reveal the same problems we've seen in other vet-recommended brands. Corn, byproducts, and artificial additives dominate the formulas. IAMS Proactive Health Adult Mini Chunks lists chicken, cornmeal, whole grain sorghum, and chicken byproduct meal as the first four ingredients. Sorghum is a grain used primarily in low-cost pet foods as a cheap alternative to rice or corn. It provides minimal nutritional value and is difficult for dogs to digest. Eukanuba formulas aren't much better. Their breed-specific lines follow the same pattern as Royal Canin: slight variations in kibble size, with minimal differences in actual nutrition. The first ingredients are typically chicken, cornmeal, wheat, and chicken byproduct meal. Both brands also use beet pulp, a byproduct of sugar beet processing. It's added as a fiber source, but it's essentially industrial waste. Beet pulp can cause digestive upset and allergic reactions in sensitive dogs. Many dogs on IAMS or Eukanuba develop chronic soft stools and excessive gas because their bodies are struggling to process these low-quality ingredients. What's particularly frustrating about these brands is the price point. They're marketed and priced as premium foods, often costing significantly more than store brands. But the ingredient quality is comparable to budget options like Pedigree or Kibbles and Bits. You're paying extra for marketing and the veterinary endorsement, not for better nutrition. Mars Pet Care understands that vets carry enormous influence over pet owners' purchasing decisions. By maintaining close relationships with the veterinary community, they ensure continued recommendations regardless of actual product quality. Now let's address something even more disturbing: prescription treats and dental chews. Your vet probably gives your dog a Greenie's dental chew after appointments. They might sell Hill's prescription treats or Royal Canin veterinary snacks. These products are marketed as healthy, often with claims about dental health or joint support. But look at the ingredients. Greenie's Dental treats list wheat flour, glycerin, and wheat protein isolate as the first three ingredients. These are grain-based treats being marketed as dental health products. The texture is supposed to clean teeth mechanically, but the wheat and sugars actually contribute to plaque formation and dental disease. Glycerin, which gives Greenies their chewy texture, is a sugar alcohol that can cause digestive upset and diarrhea in some dogs. The treats also contain artificial colors, even though dogs are colorblind to most colors. These dyes serve no purpose other than making the treats look appealing to humans. Some Greenies formulas also contain gelatin, which is often derived from industrial animal processing and can include parts from sick or diseased animals. The veterinary endorsement gives pet owners confidence that these treats are healthy, but they're really just another processed product designed to maximize profit. Hill's prescription treats follow a similar pattern. They're marketed as complementary to prescription diets, with formulas for kidney support, weight management, and digestive health. But the ingredients are low-quality byproducts, grains, and artificial additives. The treats are also expensive, often costing 2 to 3 times what regular treats cost, despite having no meaningful nutritional advantage. Your vet sells these because they reinforce the prescription diet recommendation and generate additional clinic revenue. It's a complete ecosystem designed to keep you buying products that benefit the manufacturer and the clinic, not necessarily your pet. Let's talk about something vets rarely discuss: the difference between AAFCO standards and actual nutritional quality. AAFCO, the Association of American Feed Control Officials, sets minimum standards for pet food. When a food meets AAFCO standards, it's considered complete and balanced. Vets often point to AAFCO approval as proof that a food is adequate. But AAFCO standards are incredibly low. They focus on minimum nutrient levels, not ingredient quality or bioavailability. A food can meet AAFCO standards using the cheapest possible ingredients as long as it hits certain numerical targets for protein, fat, and vitamins. This is why foods like Ol Roy, Alpo, and other budget brands can claim to be complete and balanced. They technically meet the minimum requirements, but the ingredients are garbage. Your dog might survive on these foods, but they won't thrive. The same is true for many vet-recommended brands. Hills, Royal Canin, and Purina Pro Plan all meet AAFCO standards. But meeting minimum requirements doesn't mean the food is optimal. When vets defend these brands by pointing to AAFCO approval, they're using a technicality to avoid discussing ingredient quality. It's a way to deflect criticism without actually addressing the fundamental problems with the food. Another issue vets won't mention is the concept of chronic low-grade poisoning. Many commercial pet foods contain ingredients that aren't immediately toxic, but cause cumulative damage over time. Artificial preservatives like BHA and BHT, food dyes, rendered byproducts contaminated with heavy metals and pesticides, and grains treated with glyphosate. These substances accumulate in your pet's body, stressing the liver and kidneys, promoting inflammation and increasing cancer risk. The effects aren't obvious after one meal or even 1 year. They show up after 5, 10, or 15 years of daily exposure. This is why so many dogs and cats develop cancer, kidney disease, and liver failure in their later years. We've normalized these conditions as inevitable parts of aging, but they're not. They're largely the result of decades of inappropriate nutrition. Wild canines don't develop cancer at the rates domestic dogs do. The difference isn't genetics, it's diet and environment. But vets don't connect these dots because they weren't trained to see nutrition as the foundation of health. They were trained to treat symptoms with medications and procedures, both of which generate revenue for the clinic and the pharmaceutical industry. Let's address the prescription diet for kidney disease specifically because it's one of the most commonly recommended and most problematic. Hill's prescription diet, KD, and Royal Canin renal support are marketed as essential for managing chronic kidney disease in dogs and cats. The theory is that by restricting protein and phosphorus, you reduce the workload on damaged kidneys. This sounds logical, but recent research suggests it's overly simplistic and potentially harmful. High-quality animal protein is not the enemy. Low-quality protein from byproducts and plant sources is. When you feed a kidney disease patient a diet based on corn and chicken byproducts, you're giving them protein that's difficult to process and low in bioavailable nutrients. The body has to work harder to extract any nutritional value, which actually increases the burden on the kidneys. Meanwhile, the restricted protein levels can lead to muscle wasting and decreased quality of life. Some veterinary nutritionists now recommend moderate amounts of high-quality animal protein for kidney patients rather than severe restriction with low-quality sources. But this information hasn't reached most general practice vets because it contradicts what Hills and Royal Canin have been teaching for decades. Changing the recommendation would mean admitting that the prescription diets they've been selling for years might not be optimal, and that's a difficult conversation for vets to have. The wet food versions of these prescription diets are even worse. They often contain high levels of water used as a cheap filler, unnamed meat byproducts, and thickening agents like carrageenan that have been linked to inflammatory bowel disease. The phosphorus restriction is achieved by using lower quality protein sources rather than simply using less of high quality protein. Cats with kidney disease often refuse to eat these foods because they instinctively know the food isn't appropriate for their needs. Vets then prescribe appetite stimulants to force the cat to eat, rather than questioning whether the food itself might be the problem. Okay, I know this is a lot to process. You're probably feeling frustrated, maybe even betrayed by a veterinarian you trust. That's understandable. But it's important to recognize that most vets aren't intentionally harming your pets. They're working within a system that has shaped their education and limits their perspective. The pet food industry has done an incredible job of embedding itself into veterinary medicine so deeply that questioning major brands feels like questioning science itself. But science should always be questioned. That's how we learn and improve. So what should you do? First, stop blindly trusting brand names and veterinary endorsements. Read ingredient lists. Real meat should be the first ingredient, and it should be clearly identified. Chicken, beef, lamb, not meat meal or byproducts. Avoid foods where grains are the primary ingredients. Look for foods without artificial preservatives, colors, or flavors. Second, consider alternative options. Brands like Origin, Acana, Stella and Chewy's, and Primal use high-quality ingredients and species-appropriate formulas. They're more expensive, but you're paying for real nutrition that will keep your pet healthier longer, which means fewer vet bills over time. Third, talk to your vet about food, but be prepared for resistance. Ask them specifically why they recommend certain brands. Ask about the ingredients. Ask if they've received any training or funding from pet food companies. Most vets will be honest if you ask directly, and that conversation can be enlightening. If your vet becomes defensive or dismissive when you question their food recommendations, that's a red flag. A good vet should be open to discussing alternatives and considering your concerns. Fourth, trust your observations. If your pet has chronic health issues that don't improve despite following your vet's recommendations, the food might be the problem. Try switching to a higher quality option and monitor the results. Many pet owners see dramatic improvements in skin, coat, energy, and digestion simply by upgrading food quality. Finally, educate yourself. The pet food industry counts on consumer ignorance. They use scientific-sounding terms, impressive packaging, and veterinary endorsements to create an illusion of quality while using the cheapest possible ingredients. When you understand how to read labels, recognize marketing tactics, and evaluate ingredient quality, you can make informed decisions that truly benefit your pet. Resources like the Dog Food Advisor website, books like Food Pets Die For by Anne Martin, and independent pet nutrition experts can provide valuable information that your vet might never mention. The pet food industry is a multi-billion-dollar business built on partnerships with veterinary medicine. Breaking free from that system requires awareness, critical thinking, and a willingness to question authority. Your vet might know a lot about treating disease, but that doesn't mean they're an expert in nutrition. And even if they are, their recommendations might be influenced by factors they're not fully aware of themselves. Your pet's health is too important to leave solely in the hands of an industry that profits from keeping them sick. Take control, ask questions, demand better. Your pet deserves it. Have you noticed your vet pushing specific brands? Has your pet's health improved after switching away from prescription diets? Drop a comment below, because these stories need to be heard. And if this opened your eyes, share it with other pet owners who need to understand what's really happening. The more people who know the truth, the harder it becomes for this system to continue unchallenged.